And we are live. A very good morning, everybody here in Malaysia, and a good evening to all the people in Vancouver. It's great to have you all here at Cornerstone Live. A very big welcome to everybody that is joining us already. The amount of audience is already counting up. And today we have a very special session. Usually for Cornerstone Live, you expect us at 8 p.m. in the evening, but today we come to you on a Saturday morning at 11 a.m. And why are we doing that? Because we have a special guest all the way from Vancouver, and we are so thankful that he is with us today. We are so thankful that he wants to spend some time with us. Ladies and gentlemen, you can already see him in the screen. Please welcome Mr. Tiah Joo Kim. How are you, Joo Kim?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you, Taco. Thank you for having me. And I'll say good morning to everyone in KL as well.
Okay, that's really great. That's really great. So again, we're very honored. It's really great that you are spending some time with us. You're sitting in Vancouver. I think it's 8 p.m. in the evening right now there.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Okay. Okay, that's good. So before we get started, let's just first go with an official introduction, right? So that everybody knows who is Mr. Joo Kim and who does he represent, of course, of TA Global. So very quickly, you know, an innovator firmly focused on breaking away from the conventional methodologies of the industry. Joo Kim sees innovation as fundamental to the company's mission. Under his visionary direction and strategic leadership, the property arm of TA Group has successfully developed and is still developing an exceptional portfolio of urban spaces, many of which are rising to their calling to be icons of their city. One of them is Trump International Hotel and Tower, Vancouver. More than just a luxury hotel, the now completed 69-story landmark is a showcase of craftsmanship and classic discipline. As a matter of fact, its architectural design and significance have taken the international spotlight through numerous accolades, and including but not limited to the Best International Hotel Architecture of International Property Awards and Forbes 5-Star Hotel Awards. Wow. Hardly want to rest on his laurels, Joo Kim's seemingly unending thirst for new ideas and new forms has him set out to reimagine the skyline of Kuala Lumpur as well. Presently, he is spearheading multiple developments in his capital, totally 162 acres with an expected gross development value of 14.2 billion. The most notable one is Damansara Avenue, a 48-acre master planned community housing, residential, commercial, and various lifestyle components all in one. Its second residential phase, the service apartment Ativo Suites, is currently under construction and will feature 2 towers with 668 units. A newly launched development, Alex Residences in North Kiara, is a luxury lifestyle hotel brand that will sit atop 2.47 acre site at the epicenter of KL's Golden Triangle. Highly strategic locations aside, these projects will introduce many authentic design and lifestyle concepts never before seen in Malaysia. They are expected to create a positive disruption in the new way traditional residence and hospitality are defined, and thus raise the profile of TA Global as the local real estate game changer. Again, ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Mr. Tiah Joo Kim. So let's get started. That was quite an introduction, huh?
Did we send you that? Or did you write that?
Yes, you did send me that.
Oh, wow.
Was that a part of the part you are all aware of what's going on right now?
Yeah. Well, it's pretty impressive the way it was written. So, anyways.
Yeah. It was very well written. That's why I didn't want to skip any. I was thinking about, should I skip something? Is it too long? But then I thought, no, I'm just going to do the whole thing because it's actually quite impressive. Thank you. So Joo Kim, again, thank you so much for being with us, for you in the evening, for us in the morning. You know, most people have heard of TA Global, but, you know, maybe for the few people that have not heard of it before, could you maybe give a brief introduction about TA Global?
Okay. TA Global is part of the TA group of companies, which were built, I guess, by my parents, Dr. Tiah and Dr. Alicia Tiah. So it's about 30 years ago they started the business. Tiah Global itself and Tiah Enterprise, they're both listed on the KL Stock Exchange. Tiah Global, I think, has a market cap about 1.4 billion ringgit. And yeah, I think, yeah, that's, and our primary business is property development, property investment, and property management.
Amazing. Yeah, we're going to go to some specifics later on the property level of everything that that Tiah has done so far. But you are the CEO of Tiah Global. Could you explain a little bit to our audience? What a CEO of a, let's say, a premium lifestyle property development company. What is a CEO responsible for?
Well, I think, to put it bluntly, I think ultimately the CEO is responsible for ensuring that the company remains profitable. That's the first thing, and ensure that we continue to grow, and just moving in the right direction and returning, value to our shareholders. That's in a nutshell what a CEO is supposed to do. And I guess we have our hand a little bit on everything, but ultimately, I work with a big team and who are experts in what they do, and I kind of, coordinate and ensure everything gets done.
Very nice, very nice. What part of being a property developer do you enjoy the most?
Well, without a doubt, I enjoy the creation process. I think, I say this with all humbleness, I'm blessed and privileged enough to be able to choose what I want to do for a living. And I would not have chosen to go in this field unless I, sincerely love what I did. And I absolutely love designing. I love creating and coming up with a product, that people can really, love and appreciate. And I enjoy building communities. I enjoy, shaping the skyline. And I always say, the intrinsic value I have is I help create memories and experiences for people, and that's what really makes me happy. So that's what I do. Yeah.
And you definitely do it extremely well. Doing some research, on all the developments that have been done by Tiah Global, and the upcoming ones are extremely impressive, based on the details of design. And we go a little bit to that later. But looking at the diverse portfolio that Tiah Global has, right? It goes into high-rise condominiums. You have commercial projects. And of course, like a huge hotel, hotel business, hospitality. What drives you and the company, of course, to be so diverse in many property segments?
I think the first thing is, I think we look at opportunity everywhere, and so every opportunity is different in terms of what it brings, right? And what we try to figure out what it would be the best investment with every single opportunity. So, and that's why, that's how diversification comes about, right? Because every opportunity is different. Like every business opportunity is different, so we can't just limit ourselves. To a certain extent, you have to be disciplined because you got to know your expertise as well. What the things that you know yourself, like knowing what your expertise, your company can, what you are doing, and then you won't be necessarily, how should I say, focused on just doing one segment of the market. And I also want to say that diversification is important. And we for a long time now we've already diversified, and that's why I think we are in like 6 different countries, because we saw that it was important to diversify our portfolio, so that we could hedge ourselves against political or currency fluctuations, and so I guess that's why we chose from an early point to diversify. But unfortunately, this recent pandemic got everybody. So
Yeah,
we never saw it coming, but yeah.
Yeah, definitely a game changer for everybody, and especially if you diversify, you have to start looking at which ones are still doing well and which ones are hit the hardest, I guess. No?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, I like to say, we are in real estate because it's a very traditional or safe bricks and mortar type of business. I mean, yes, we are, we're not immune to the situation that was hit, as any other, I guess, real estate or property developer or investment company at this point in time. But at least, let's say, whatever happens, people are still going to be buying houses, right? People still need a place to live. And I don't have to worry, is this going to be a system? I mean, it's not going to be, but, I don't even have to worry about it being a systematic problem or structural change where people in the future just cannot be in large groups in any situation. So those people in those type of businesses like restaurants and I guess like nightlives or festivals or that kind of business, they could be, the recovery would be a lot slower. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I know definitely what you mean. So, but there's just one other thing, before we start talking a little bit more about the crisis and how is that affecting, how you being managing TA Global at the moment. But I can't help but be inspired by the young age you have, and already running such a huge company with such a huge position. I'm curious. Do you feel that your age makes it sometimes challenging to run such a huge organization?
Well, I don't know. Age, I mean, I'm not sure what's considered young anymore because I thought I was young, but I don't think I'm that young anymore. And it seems like I've been doing this for some time now. I would say that being young definitely has its pros and cons, obviously, and it's just important to understand, like everything else, what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses. I think when you're young, you obviously have a lot of energy. You're much more in touch with the younger generation or what's going on culturally or in the world. You have all the, how should I say, all the passion, and you have the time. You don't have the commitments, and you just can spend all your time chasing your dreams and working really, really hard. But the things that we lack are like experience, wisdom, sometimes maybe the skill or the relationships that are built to make you successful. So I'm very fortunate enough that TA Group has been around a long time, and so we have a good balance of I guess, hate to say, older people versus younger people, because we're going to need the strength of everyone. We're going to need the experience. We're going to need the wisdom. At the same time, we need the people who are younger, who have the energy, who have the passion, who have the creativity. And yeah, it's a balancing act always, to always listen to all the views, right? Listen to the young people, listen to the old people, because everybody really has something to add. And my job as the CEO always is to how should I say, to, like a sponge, just really absorb and get the most out of my team. Yeah. And at the end of the day, hopefully be able to make a wise decision, and the right decision, and for the company.
Yeah, wonderful. Okay, we in Malaysia, we are in an MCO right now, movement restriction order. How are things in Vancouver at the moment? Is it the same? Are you allowed to go outside? How are they dealing with the pandemic at the moment?
I think generally it's the same. I mean, there's in Vancouver, in BC, right here, there's no official MCO or lockdown, but they have shut down basically all businesses well, they haven't shut down, but they have shut down all restaurants and they have banned all gatherings more than like I don't know, 5 people or something like that. Something, and then and so you're still allowed to go out and take a walk and go to the park and whatnot, but you're not allowed to like basically hang around. You can just like the things that are open are still like the grocery stores and the supermarkets. And I think the difference here, what I can tell over here in Vancouver, there's very strong like society pressure to social distance. So everybody kind of just does that. Everybody just stays at home. And it's funny because if like during this period, like when you're downtown, I've never seen so many lights downtown because everybody's home, right? So all the condos all lit up, right? Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Of course, we know there's a global situation right now. Let's go to pre-pandemic, if you will, right? So that means basically 2019. How was TA Global doing until the end of 2019?
I think we were on a roll in that sense. We launched 2 projects, TiVo Suites in Damansara Avenue and Alex Residences in North Kiara. And we were actually gearing up to launch another project this year. But we, at the last moment, we just made the decision that, that maybe we should wait and see. And it turned out to be a really good decision because that the COVID-19 really blew up, and so it would be unwise, at a point of time to launch the project. Yeah. So those 2 projects that I mentioned were selling well, and all our hotels that we have were also doing fairly well. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. We'll come back to the hotel and the current businesses now in Damansara Avenue and Alexis Residences. In the meantime, we're actually getting a question from our audience, and questions are welcome. I had a little session with Joo Kim before. He says, yeah, if there's any question from the audience, then we definitely can have a look at it. So I have a little question here. Dear Joo Kim, you mentioned about opportunities in business. No doubt there would be countless opportunities that would cross your table daily. As CEO of TA Global, how do you decide that a deal is a good and doable or bad to make the right and wise decision? Please share your wisdom.
I would say every opportunity is as good as your capability or your knowledge. So like if you have extensive knowledge of that business, or let's say, like since I'm in property, so we'll talk about property. Let's say you have extensive knowledge of the location of the opportunity, and you have the resources, like you have the team, you have the banking relationships, and you know the prices of what's selling, what's not selling, what land prices are. Then it's much easier for you to really go down to the nitty-gritty and just try to like leave no stone unturned. Just try to just map out all the scenarios and what could possibly happen. Then you can narrow down and see your chances of being successful. But if you, like, for example, like I don't really play in the stock market, right? And there may be a really good opportunity, like, right now, like the share price has dropped really, really low for certain stocks, I mean, it would be hard for me to understand whether it's a good opportunity or not, because I don't have the knowledge, or I need to really dig in and go into the details, and if it's also, to have a clue whether it's a good opportunity. And also I try to stick with the things that are my expertise, my knowledge. I think it's always believe in being focused and being a master, or trying to master, the things that you are good in. And I think a lot of times people fall into the trap of trying to get rich fast, by and being easily swayed of what's a good opportunity when they don't have the knowledge, they don't have the skills with regards to a certain opportunity.
Yeah, I love that advice. That is really true. You know, many people want to have like that overnight success, right? But many times they don't understand, you know, the hard work, the skills, and the knowledge that goes into something that needs to become successful, right?
Absolutely. There's no shortcuts in life, really.
Yeah.
It sucks, but like, I mean, I feel like I'm so old, and I see the younger generation, and they always want to, because they grew up with the internet and, you know, social media and everything at their, you know, at Google tells them everything, Siri tells them everything right at their fingertips. So they're so used to instantaneous gratification, instantaneously getting the answers. So, but yeah, I always give them a hard time and tell them, like, you know, it doesn't work like that. You got to work hard. It takes years and years of, you know, to be good in something.
Very good, very good. I like that. Really, really, really love it. You know, maybe let's go to the bad news a little bit, right? So the pandemic is going on. You know, how is TA Global affected, and are you worried?
We are affected, like I said, like any other property developer. I think anyone who says they're not affected is kind of kidding you right now, in our industry, because like, let you know, like the majority of our hotels have been closed, and we have no choice to close because, you know, there's travel restrictions. You know, there's basically a lockdown, and people not traveling. So, you know, to just keep staying open and carry all that overhead is you're just burning money like crazy. So absolutely, we are also on the hotel side, we're definitely been affected. But surprisingly, actually on the property development side, we are not so much affected because, excuse me, during this MCO period in Malaysia, we stepped up our digital marketing and digital selling. I mean, we've always done that, and I think one of the biggest things that this whole pandemic has happened is really like sped up the process, you know, or of us doing things more digitally and doing things online. Like in the past, you know, we would do all these things that we're using now. Like we would have virtual walkthroughs, and we would have, you know, not so much broadcast like this, but, you know, we were using social media to market and whatnot, videos and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, when the lockdown came, it was like, well, the only way we can, I guess every developer also realized the only way we could reach our people is through digitally and through social media and through digital marketing. So everybody stepped their game out there. And actually during this MCO process, we actually managed to close a lot of sales, surprisingly. And a lot of these sales are done, I guess, online. Like, you know, they're all signed virtually and witnessed virtually by a lawyer online, and it's all scanned and faxed back to each other. So nobody's actually leaving their house, and we're getting sales done. So that was never really the case in the past. And so this whole process has really stepped it up. So I'm very encouraged. And I think, you know, after the MCO or whatnot, because we've been pushed to do this more, I think, you know, we're going to continue. Like more developers are definitely going to, this is like a little bit being disruption right here, right? More and more developers are now going to continue to do this because, you know, you can get sales from overseas or people who just more and more just don't need to come to. It's like online shopping, right? Like online shopping is easy for a small amount, right? But for a condo or for a house, people are like, no, we got to go see the thing, right? Because it's a big investment, right? But like, you know, slowly but surely, I think, you know, we're getting there, right? So I think that's definitely one of the things that we have learned during this period, and we're very like encouraged by it. Actually, I think there are a lot of savvy buyers out there who realize that, wow, you know what, this might be the best time for us to buy, because a lot of developers are, you know, worried, you know, maybe cash strapped, and you know, a lot of them are giving really good, like, I hate to use the word freebies, or giving a lot of, you know,
rebates.
Whatever you want to call it. They're giving out freebies to the purchasers. So the purchasers are in the driver's seat right now, and they are thinking. I guess anyone who's wise is always thinking like, how often does a global pandemic like this come, right? So if it's time to buy anything right now, it's definitely now's the moment if you have the cash, definitely.
Yeah. That's so interesting that you mentioned that, because actually looking ahead, you say you're doing sales. We hear across the board, in Cornerstone, agents are closing a lot of sales, but they had to reframe that sales process, right? Then a physical one-to-one. Now they're doing, live streaming. They're doing Zoom meetings. They're doing very professional presentations. So actually, that's a very encouraging and good way of disrupting that process, I guess. And I think is also good for developers. Do you preparing for, let's say, when the MCO is lifted, right? Do you feel that that's the way that we will continue doing things, or will we fall back and do it the physical way again?
I think it's going to be a part of the strategy. I think people are going to continue to do it. Like if you have you've been successful, why not, right? It's been a proven way to reach people. I think it's more effective now because people are stuck at home, but I don't know. It's, they say it only takes how many weeks to start a habit, right? So like it may be a habit for people to continue to check their I guess their social media or watch broadcasts or follow their developers more. But I think we'll continue to I don't think it's going to be a structural change. I don't think people are going to stop coming to sales galleries and all that. I think that's still going to happen. I think the traditional methods are still going to work. Like for example, I mean, without sharing too much, like some of our sales, like some people, I hate to say it, but like the older generation, they may not like know how to do online banking, and so like, they rather like come in with a check and whatnot. So, we still have that, right? So, yeah.
Nice. Okay. Very looking forward to that disruption. I think the real estate was ready for a little bit more digital sales process for some time now. I think this pandemic is just pushing us to actually that we have to do it now. But looking ahead, you were talking about, if you're a potential buyer, the media is playing their role. They're saying that the properties are devaluating. They're saying that property will get a hit, and that is actually a motivation for buyers actually to come in at this time. What do you think about that? If you are a potential buyer, you were thinking about buying, do you think it's the right time?
Absolutely. I mean, I always try to have a global perspective, right? And I think, well, there's two types of buyers, right? As we all know, there's the people who are buying for the home stay and the investors, right? And I always think, if you have a certain amount of money and you want to invest it or spend it, what are your options, right? I'd say if you decide that property, real estate is what you want to invest in, where is it cheap? All right, you're always going to think, where is it a good value? And realistically, if you look all over the world today, I mean, at least in Southeast Asia, Malaysia actually is really darn good value. For what you get for the price, it's really good value. So it has been good value for some time right now. So I think this MCO period definitely is, like I said, it's a lot of developers are motivated, a lot of developers are giving freebies and whatnot. So it's definitely good time to look and to purchase.
Wonderful.
I just want to go back to the question about how we mentioned about digitalization and make marketing and sales online. I think you said what's going to happen after this. I do think that this has caused what you call developers to put in more thought on the process, like you said. Like the process, I'm going to be pretty blunt right here. I think the process, all developers are just trying to figure out the process now. You know what I mean? Because we're forced to do it. So I think there's definitely room for improvement. Like, in the future, could there be can it be like online shopping or online banking where it's like a secure website? You go there and you can just pick your unit and then just click a few buttons and then boom, you're gone. You know what I mean? Like there's still lots of growth that is possible there. And I think developers are now starting to think about it. And, because in the past, it was never really required, right? It was only the marketing, but not the actual signing and the actual sale, right? I think developers are starting to look more into it now. And then I think that, if we get a whole handle on that, that'll be great. Then we could really sell even more internationally, right?
Yeah, I'm actually very happy that you actually jumped back to that point, because it brings me to something else. Is like, yeah, you're right. Developers are now seeing that they can change that, they can digitalize that. But if you look at other industries like taxi industry, the food industry, all these industries, that how the digitalization has changed a lot of things. Yet properties still do it, let me respectfully, the old-fashioned way, right? With come visit us and things like that. Why do you think developers, not specifically developers, the whole industry has such a hard time to convert to that digitalization and make those processes more smooth and easier, basically?
Okay, all right. I got a couple of reasons I think why. I'm gonna try to phrase it the right way. I think first of all, like I first said, buying a property is usually a big chunk of money for most people. All right, and so the commitment is big, and there's also like so with bigger amount of money, you want to be more sure, all right, and so that comes back to the reputation, right? And the thing with one of the biggest problems in the development industry is like the developers, I'm just saying, all over the world have always done a terrible job. I shouldn't say that. Okay, I shouldn't say that. Okay, they haven't. How shall I say it? Their brand value is really, really low compared to like a Louis Vuitton or like a retail brand. You know what I mean? Like they spend almost zero marketing dollars on building their brand. So like even like the biggest property development companies in the world, if you go to like even an educated man on the street, you ask him to name a property firm, like the top 5 or top 10 property firms in the world, I would bet you big money he would have no clue, because property companies never, for whatever reason, didn't put in the effort or to actually brand their products or brand their company well.
Yeah.
So there is no trust. You know what I mean? That like for example, Mercedes, people buy Porsche, a lot of nice cars. You buy them online. You don't go to the dealership anymore, because if you want one, you need to order it in like the year prior or like 6 months prior, right? Also, you can't get one, right? But they do that even though it costs them a big chunk of money, because Porsche's brand value is like, you don't have to worry, buddy. You know what I mean? Like the car will come, it will be immaculately, it'll be perfect, right? So, but with developers, in companies, no one has that status, in general, so nobody's gonna go online and buy a house from a developer, even if it's like Soho or or Greenland or some really big company. They're like, no, because it's like nobody has that real strong brand in general. Okay, I think I'm just saying in general that's been the case. Maybe it's changing a little bit more now. Because I shouldn't use those Chinese companies, because I know China, for example, they are really quick adopters on anything which is digital. So I think if in any place in the world where people are going to start literally buying real estate online, it's going to be China, because those people, they are just like the first adopters for everything, versus other countries, it takes a little longer. I think that's the first reason. And my second reason, I gotta be really careful how I say this. I think how shall I say, it is a traditional business, right? And so typically the people who make the decisions in these companies, are people who are older, okay? And I hate to say this, but like, most of these people, they have no clue, you know, what social media is, you know, or what Instagram or Snapchat or whatever is, until like a few years ago, right? And even if they know about it, they're not on it. You know what I mean? They don't really, I hate to say it, but unless you really do something yourself or try it out yourself, you don't really understand it. So I think that's the biggest problem. Like, if you make a survey of who buys things online, what would be the age group? You know what I mean? I think that would give you an indicator as well. Is tend to be the younger people are more open to, well, this is how it's this, right? You know what I mean? Because, you know, they're young, they just try it and they get used to it, and oh, it's so simple. And then versus older people have been doing things a certain way all their entire life, and change is hard. You know, change is hard for me too. I'm getting old myself, see? So I think those are your two reasons right there.
Wonderful. Yeah, wonderful. Really, so much agree with that, especially on the brand value part. I think there's still a lot to learn for some developers, maybe all developers, that a brand value is so important. If you have that pre-trust before people go into a purchase, then you're already halfway, right? Because they trust you already. They know the quality of products that you put there, and that would make the decision so much easier for the purchaser eventually, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Let's talk a little bit, you know, about Tiah Global's direction, right? You know, one of the core values, I went, of course, on the website, did some research, you know, great website, by the way, but one of the core values is encouraging innovation. And everywhere that I read an article about you, or I see something of you online, you know, the word innovation comes back. You know, it's a very prominent word that I see. Why do you believe innovation is so important in the property landscape?
Oh, first of all, I think innovation is needed to survive. You know what I mean? Because in any industry, even in life, right? You know, change is inevitable, right? You know, nothing is static in life. People's what's hot in the past may not be hot now going forward, right? People's you know, needs and wants change over time for whatever reason. You can't stop it, right? And so you have to continue to innovate with the times. But I feel that innovation, you don't have to worry. Like, you don't have to come to work and say, oh my God, I need to innovate. I innovate. No, I think what happens is innovation happens naturally when you really have a passion for what you do. If you have a passion on what you do, you can't help but want to do things better. You can't help but, you know, it's like a never, I hate to say it, it's like when you're really passionate, at least for me, when you're really passionate about something, it's never ending. You can never perfect it. You can, like, I can design something literally forever, but it'll never be perfect. You know what I mean? I mean, obviously I do that. At a certain point, I say I gotta stop. Okay, this is good enough, right? But literally, like, as I'm a musician as well, like, when you are passionate about something and you play an instrument, there is no limit to how good you can become. So that drives that what you call the need to be better. And then so when you have that passion and that drive to become better, instantaneously you will innovate. Your product will always be innovative because you just always want to get better. You always just want to one up whatever's in the market. You always just want to, you know, be better. So I think that's how you you know, become innovative, right? So I always say that, like, you know, it's so cliche, but everyone always says, like, you know, how do you be successful? Like, you know, you gotta, and then it's the saying, like, you know, you find what you love to do, then you never work to the end of your life. You know, it's seriously, if you're passionate about something, you know, then it becomes so much easier to be good in it.
Yeah, so much agree with that. Yeah. Passion is basically all our driving force in doing great things, right? As a developer, you as a developer, right? How do you make sure that your products, so in this case, you know, all the properties that you have, you know, the products are aligned with the trends of the market, and especially, you know, there's now, especially Malaysia, let's go specifically Malaysia, there's quite some choice, right? There's a lot of properties available. What do you believe that developers have to do to make sure that they are aligned with the right customers?
Okay, Takuma, please don't be offended with my answer. I think at least for me and my company, we don't, how shall I say, try to copy or try to follow the trends. You know what I mean? I think it's very dangerous when you do that because trends come and go, and when you copy and follow, at the best you'll only be second best. You know what I mean? I think I think it's important to know what trends are because there is definitely some value there. Like somebody was successful doing something, and you need to understand why they were successful or why that product resonated with everybody. You know what I mean? I think it's important to understand trends, but not necessarily follow them. That's the difference. I think the key, I hate to say it, but to be a trendsetter yourself is more important, right? And how you can do that, I think, is the key to it is to be original, is to be authentic, and and love what you do. And so when you have those values, it will, your product will have that distinct identity. And I think people, what attracts, I'm just going to say this, right? I think what attracts people to a certain product, first of all, obviously the product has to be good, but I think it's the values behind it, or what does the product symbolize? I think that's very important. So when you are really authentic and genuine about all these things, then it comes out in your product. Your identity is there, and that's what people buy into. So that's what that's what I feel, is important. Did I really answer or make it clear?
Yeah, no, you actually blew my mind, actually, because I kind of in my question said, how do you follow the trend? But what you basically answer, and correct me if I'm wrong, you say don't follow the trends, but be the trendsetter, right? be the one that sets the trend, and then make people just love your products. It's kind of I would relate it to the Steve Jobs kind of way. Huh?
Well, I want to rephrase it. I don't think, you see, I don't, get me wrong. I don't go out there telling myself I want to be a trendsetter. I don't do that. You know what I mean? I go out there and be myself and do what I love and do it with all sincerity and all passion. I think that will always give you a place and a market, a niche market, no matter where you are in this world. And I relate that to just anything that's successful in life. The people who are, or the artists, or the products that are, how shall I say, mainstays in life, they are successful because they're not trying to be anyone else. They just want to be themselves. And yeah, trends come and go. Sometimes they may not be as popular as other people. I always like to use music, for example, like, certain genres are not as popular, in different decades, right? Because it's just not your decade, right? But when iconic band releases an album, they're still gonna get hordes of their followers coming. They're still gonna get, selling out major concerts, all over the time, and they will still appeal to younger people, older people, everyone, because you know what? They don't care about the trends. They play their own style and their own music. And yes, some people are not going to like it, or it's not going to be as popular. They're going to say, oh, back in the day, they were way bigger. But yeah, of course, it's a different time now. I think I'm more concerned of that. I'd rather have my own identity and have my own, be very sure who I am and who I'm not. I'm not going to try to be someone I'm not. And that is way more powerful, or not powerful. That's way more lasting than someone that's just out there to try and copy everyone. What I'm saying?
I really not copy, but be authentic, and eventually you will create that following, right, of the same people that love the same thing, actually, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so going a little bit to our title then, right? How property developers remain relevant. How do you remain relevant as a developer? What is it that you need to do for that?
Oh well, I kind of like touched on it just now. I think there's a few things that we should do. You at the end of the day, you got to have good product, right? You got to have good customer service. You got to make sure the process is good. You have a good product. You must be a developer of great integrity and reputation. You must deliver what you say you would do. You never shortchange your buyers, right? You always, it's better if they can win, if they can, how shall I say, if they invest in you and their property goes up, they win, you win as well in the long term. I think those are the practical elements. I think the other thing is a little bit of what I stated earlier. I think for the longest of time, people have always seen like, you buy a house, and it's very practical. It's all about price and this and this and that, But like a lot of things in life, I think you can buy, like even in retail or whatever, you can buy a lot of things, and the quality is all good. It's all about the same. You know what I mean? And how do you differentiate yourself, right?
Yeah.
Why does someone buy? I hate to say, I don't know. Use cars for example. Buys a Mercedes versus a BMW or versus an Audi, right? They all compete in the same line. Why do people make those decisions? I think it's branding, right? I think branding is a new thing, and that's the slight edge that you need to have. Like, people need to know what you're all about, right? You know what I mean? And what you stand for. And the better, that's what branding basically is just telling people who you are and what you stand for. And when people understand that, then I think it makes it slightly easier for them to pick you versus anyone else who doesn't have an identity, or they do a really terrible job in telling you who they are. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. So let's go a little bit to the products, right? Because there are some amazing products from Tiah Global. Let's just start with the Damansara Avenue one here in Malaysia.
Yes.
A 48-acre mixed development with condominiums. I think there's retail shops, hotel also, offices will be there. What sets a development like this? Let's say what part differentiates a development like this from anything else here in Malaysia?
Well, I think differentiate for everything else. That's a tough one. Okay. I think it's not one characteristic. I think what makes a great home a great product it's a whole bunch of it's a whole long checklist, right? And I think the benefit of doing a master plan community like Damansara Avenue is like it's like a developer's dream, because you don't just build like one house or build one building, right? You build almost like a mini city like that, right? So you really get to envision and dream like, if I were to live here, or if anyone were to live here, what sort of lifestyle would you want to have, right? And how can we make this experience so special? So it starts with that question, and we obviously it starts with a huge brainstorm and all that. But in short, I mean, you've heard it before. People convenience is very important. I think people, especially as the societies get more mature, we have less time for some reason, right? So time is very important. So being able to have more time to yourself, to your family, to do the things you love is very important. And so having the, how should I say, being able to live, work, and play, in the same place, and having all the conveniences, the amenities, the facilities, the things you love, the things that make you happy at your doorstep is important, because it just makes your life so much more convenient, right? So I think the irony about this is I think you guys in Malaysia are starting to understand that a little bit more, because with the MCO, now you can only move like 10 kilometers from your house, right? So like if you live somewhere really far away, what do you have 10 kilometers around you, right? Do you have a nice grocery store? Do you have your favorite takeout, restaurant there? Your favorite sushi place is, within 10 kilometers, or you're not going to have sushi for 2 months or something like that. You know what I mean? And some people start to think about these things. Oh God, why am I living here? And they also start to think like, I'm spending so much freaking time in the house now. I better think more clearly. When I buy a house, I gotta buy something I like. You know what I mean? Because there. So like I said, the beauty of having a master plan community is, right? We plan to have all these things there where not only you can, live, work, and play, but that you can see yourself growing older. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna spend the rest. You're gonna raise children here. Do you have the facilities to care for my child? Is there a school there? Is there a daycare there? In future, can you go to university? Can you go to school? Is there seniors housing for my grandparents? All that kind of stuff. We just want to try to just all these things. What would be a person's interest, right? Do they like the workout lots? Is there, is there like all these sports amenities? Is there like a performing arts center? All these things we take into consideration, right? So if you can have, it's like a dream. Like if you can have a dream place to live, how would it look like? So it starts with that, and that's why it's so exciting and it's so great. Like to be frank, most developers. I mean, how many master plan communities do you get to build in your lifetime? Because they take so long, right? So we don't. Like I said, I always tell my team, don't take this project for granted. Like don't take any opportunity for granted, because it might be the only one you ever do. It also, we always, we just want to give our best and, build a real successful master plan community where, where people can really, like say, eat, live, work, and play, and also grow older.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful. In the development right now of Damansara Avenue, I think under constructions are the 𝐇𝐀𝐓 suites.
Absolutely.
Being built right now. What type of buyer are you expecting for the 𝐇𝐀𝐓 suites?
Well, we're already over 80% sold for 𝐇𝐀𝐓 suites, and hopefully will be sold out soon. And we've seen a combination of end users and also some investors. But generally, I think the age group is around 30 to 40. That's the majority of the age group, if I'm not mistaken. And also, lots of mostly young families, I would say. And I guess they, because it's a pretty mature area, and I don't know, I guess maybe some of them, they grew up in the area and want to remain in the area.
Yeah, okay, very nice. Let's go international, right? Because this is really where it gets really impressive with your group at Tiah Global, right? The portfolio is very diverse. You have a Radisson Blue Plaza in Sydney. Then you have the Movenpick Resort in Spa in Phuket. But one of the big ones, and that is such an achievement and so impressive, is the Trump International Hotel and Tower in Vancouver, where you currently are. Just, when I see something like that, the first thing that comes to my mind is, where did this all start? Where did that motivation come that, you as such a motivated person thinks like, I'm going to build this Trump hotel tower in Vancouver, what is of course a very complicated process. Where does that come from?
I think I touched a bit on it earlier. I don't go into a project thinking like, oh, I'm just going to build the greatest thing ever here. I never think that way. Right? I always think like, what would be the best fit? What would be successful here? What do the people want? What does the city want? What would be, what is that void in this location or in this city? How can I fill that void? And that's the first reason how I go about it. And it's just, we were blessed by this location. It's a very prominent location on a celebratory street in Vancouver here. That's Georgia Street. So it was one of the locations that we felt that we could justify going much higher than what the existing zoning is, because the site across the street actually is the tallest building in Vancouver. So we just pushed for it, and at the point of time, we felt that a luxury hotel and luxury residences would be the best fit, and also I hate to say it, the most profitable or financially feasible for us at the point of time. That's how the pieces slowly came about, and we just go out and execute and get it done.
Getting it done. Make it sound so easy, but I'm sure it wasn't that easy of a process getting everything really done in such a almost. You said it's never perfect, but getting everything done. I know there's a lot of innovation, a lot of also you try to make the perfect kind of hotel that is possible. Am I correct?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I mean we try our best. We try our best. Yeah, and yeah, absolutely. It's not a. I always tell my team it's not a sprint, right? It's a little bit of a marathon. I'm not a marathon runner. That's the word thing. I hate running, but it's seriously it's different stages in the process, and every stage is slightly different, and you just gotta know what to focus on, and before you know it, it'll be done, and then you'll be it's a great feeling to get it done for sure. I think it's one of the things a lot of developers here do as well, right? We like having an end product. We like at the end of the day driving by and say, "Oh wow, we built that." Like, "Oh, I built that." I designed that. It looks great, doesn't it? And then you see people enjoying it, and it's great. It's a great feeling.
Yeah,
a little bit like art.
Yeah. I think you can really consider it as art, and I must give a good feeling now that you have this finalized to enjoy. But unfortunately, of course, with the pandemic, things change a little bit now. Unfortunately, you have to be closed, I guess, right? I hope you can open that really, really soon again so people can enjoy that. Yeah. We're coming close to an end. I just have, I think, 2 questions left. Just out of curiosity, the luxury high quality developments, right? Moving ahead in the future, maybe even the next 10, 20 years, do you think that will change a lot, the luxury side of development? Is that going to change?
I think if you look historically, there's always been a market for the high end. I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. Somehow we do have a reputation of being a real high-end developer. I don't know whether that's good or bad, but I always mention that we don't necessarily build a project and it has to be luxury, right? We always try to give the best product for the market, for the location. So yeah.
Okay, wonderful. There have been some questions coming in. Sorry, guys, that I was not able to ask all your questions, but maybe one that is a little bit relevant to what we have been talking about is a question of Edward here. He says, what's the probability in terms of buyer's mindset when it comes to investors versus home buyers? Like, what percentage of people buying a form of future investment, and what percentage of people buying for own stay? Do you think that is going to change, or that there's going to be a fluctuation in investors versus own stay buyers?
That question it's going to be dependent on the location, dependent on the country, and dependent on the rules of foreign investment as well, and also dependent on the supply and demand.
Yeah.
If there's if the market's really open and the market's really hot, then you will definitely see a lot more investors coming into the market. At this point of time, maybe not so much investors and more end users, because people are buying for themselves to live in. But typically in a hot market, when the price is just going sky high and people are just writing deals without even seeing the place, that's when when the market is hot, that's when you see a lot of investors. So that's the other thing I want to tell people as well. Like, if you're an end user buyer, you got to say, you always think about, now's not the best time, or maybe, later. Well, you got to think also in the hot market, yeah, maybe, you might get faster price appreciation, but you also have a lot of other people competing with you, who are just there to just make a quick buck, you know what I mean? So I think you have to take that into consideration.
Wonderful, wonderful. Before I forget, there's this other development that Tiah Global is also launched is Alex Residences North Kiara. You know, next to already being busy with such a big mixed development in Damansara Avenue, why also Alex Residences?
Well, Alex, well, we have the land there, but like we like the location, Alex is really a really cool project because I think we're starting, all those things I talked about, in the past about really putting your brand into a project and really, having your identity come across in a project. I think Alex is actually the first project that we actually are starting to display that, I would say. I think, we really ask ourselves, like, again, like who the buyers going to buy? It's going to be end users most likely, because Kiara, North Kiara, it is, how should I say, a very coveted place. Like it's kind of like a cool place to live. You know what I mean? So the people who are going to be looking to live there are pretty affluent. So we always thought, what those type of people, what are the things that are important to them, and then that's how the branding for Alex is so strong, because which is the branding tagline is called Basically Authentic, because we felt that the people who are going to buy in Alex are people who have choice, who can buy in a lot of different areas, but they know exactly what they like and what they don't like, and they don't necessarily follow the crowd or anything like that. They just they just know who they are, what they like and don't like, and they stay true to that. So that's basically the branding of Alex, and that's sort of our ethos for that project as well. We always ask ourselves, hey, every decision, because like in development and design, all that, you make 1,000 decisions, and every design we always say, hey, we can't make a decision just based on the trends or anything. Like, we got to make the decision based on who Alex is. Alex is all about being authentic and being yourself. So we got to be authentic. It has to come across. And I guess that's what it is. I mean, by the way, Alex is 2 towers, 360 something units. I'm terrible with numbers, but like, yeah, we launched it. It's still selling. We think it's going to be very successful.
I think so too. It's a beautiful design. Again, a very prominent location, North Kiara. I know it's very close to Publica, so really? I'm sure that you will get interest there.
Yeah, I want to say it's actually really great value for what you're doing. I think I would say like 2 key selling points I would tell anybody who is actually looking at Alex is like, Alex, the way we designed the building, it's basically like a bungalow in the sky. Like, you don't really share a wall with your neighbor. You know what I mean? It's all like clustered, separate out. And so from a soundproof standpoint, from a privacy standpoint, it's very private. And if you look down the list, if you go to our website, we have a ton of amenities. We really went overboard with the amenities. It's like, it's a lot of, it's really like best in class in terms of for amenities.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful. I will definitely tell the public here, do have a look at Alex Residences, look at their website, and also on top of that, of course, in Damansara Avenue, now they're still building the TiVo suites, only a few units left. They're over 80% sold already. And so take your chance there. They're still selling even during the MCO, so make sure you grab your chance if you're listening. I have one final question, but not before I first thank the audience for joining with us here today. We're coming to an end. We've already been speaking over an hour, Joo Kim, so I don't want to take too much more of your time. But I want to thank the audience, but most of all, I would like to really thank Joo Kim for being with us today, this morning, and for you in the evening. It's really an honor to speak to you and that you shared so many valuable points. And I would just want to say, keep doing what you're doing, keep doing what you love. You can really see by the way you speak and by the way you explain how much passion goes into the things that you do. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. It's been wonderful. Yeah,
wonderful. Okay, one final question. I always ask this question to every guest at the end of our session, right? If I would sponsor you a billboard, right, and put it on the busiest highway here in Malaysia, what message would you write for the people in Malaysia right now?
I would say, and this too shall pass.
This too shall pass. I love that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really wonderful.
I would say that, yeah.
Okay, really great. Really great. This too shall pass. That is what we'll be ending with today. Again, thank you so much, Joo Kim, for being on with us today. And everybody in the audience, thank you for being with us this Saturday morning. Again, we will have many more sessions coming in the near future, but this one was already mind-blowing. So thank you so much for being with us. Stay safe, stay healthy, and like Joo Kim says, be authentic, stay yourself. Have a great day and see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.